What happens when a Hollywood icon known for unyielding strength walks into a talk show built on unfiltered opinions and refuses to bend? In the glare of morning TV, where smiles mask the knives, one question could shatter the facade. The studio hummed with pre-show energy, a kaleidoscope of warm amber lights bathing the curved desk in a deceptive glow. Plush chairs in deep blue flanked the hosts, coffee mugs steaming like props in a well-rehearsed play, while the audience rustled in their seats, a sea of eager faces under the grid of overhead spots. Panning from the bustling control room to the stage, tally lights blinked red, counting down to live, and the air carried the faint buzz of monitors and whispered cues from producers offstage. Liam Neeson entered with the quiet command of a man who'd faced down storms on screen and off, his tall frame clad in a tailored gray suit that spoke of understated elegance. His silver hair caught the lights, but his eyes, those piercing blue depths, held a flicker of something guarded, like a fuse lit slow and steady beneath a calm exterior. He moved with deliberate steps, nodding politely to the crew, yet his handshake with the stage manager was firm, almost testing, as if assessing the room's hidden currents. Whoopi Goldberg, seated at the head of the panel, leaned forward with her trademark grin, gold hoops glinting under the spots. "Liam, welcome to The View. We've been dying to have you, action hero extraordinaire, voice of legends. How's it feel to be back in the spotlight after that latest thriller?" Liam settled into the guest chair, his posture straight but not rigid, and offered a small smile. "It's always a privilege, Whoopi. The spotlight finds you whether you're ready or not, but today, I'm here willingly." His voice carried that Irish lilt, warm yet edged with steel, hinting at boundaries drawn in the sand between public persona and private truth. The conversation flowed easy at first, dipping into his filmography, the adrenaline of stunts, the craft of storytelling. Whoopi probed gently. "Your roles often tackle justice, revenge. Does that mirror your own sense of right and wrong?" Liam paused, his fingers drumming lightly on the armrest, a micro-tell of contemplation. "Justice is universal, but personal. I've learned to keep my battles off-screen." The audience murmured approval, a smattering of applause rippling through. But Whoopi's eyes sharpened, sensing the deflection, her motivation clear. Ratings loved a crack in the armor. And then she asked the question that shifted the air. As the segment rolled on, the other host chimed in, Joy with a quip about his brooding charm, Sarah with a nod to his philanthropy. Liam engaged, his laughter genuine when recounting on-set mishaps, but his responses stayed measured, weaving in respect for craft without spilling into the personal. The studio felt alive, phones held aloft capturing the moment, the energy building like a wave. Light laughter from audience, underscore music swelling faintly. Whoopi steered back, her voice dropping an octave for intimacy. "Liam, you've been open about loss in the past, your wife's tragic passing. How does that shape the man we see today?" The question landed soft but pointed, probing the line between empathy and exploitation. Liam's jaw tightened imperceptibly, his eyes meeting hers with a steady gaze. "Grief is private, Whoopi. It's shaped me, yes, but it's not for the stage." A hush fell over the panel, the secondary hosts exchanging glances, Sonny murmuring, "That's fair," while Megan shifted uncomfortably, perhaps sensing the rating's gold intention. The audience stirred, a mix of empathy and curiosity, whispers threading through the seats. Producers in the booth leaned forward, tally lights pulsing like heartbeats. Liam leaned back slightly, his hands folding in his lap, a subtle armor. But Whoopi, ever the provocateur with her personal grudge against guarded celebrities, stemming from her own battles with media scrutiny, pressed on. "Come on, Liam, we're all about real talk here. Fans connect through vulnerability. Isn't that the cost of fame?" His next words carried a warning no one heeded. Liam's response came calm, but the edge gleamed sharper. "Vulnerability shared freely is strength. Forced, it's violation. I've given much to my work, let that suffice." The words hung, drawing a few nods from the crowd, but Whoopi's charisma flared, her laugh a deflection. "Oh, we're not forcing anything. Just chatting. But let's pivot. Rumors about your family life post-loss. Any truth to the whispers of estrangement with your sons?" The pivot was personal, slicing deeper, motivated by the buzz it could generate online. The panel tensed. Joy interjected softly. "Whoopee, maybe we ease up." But the lead host waved it off with a grin that didn't reach her eyes. Liam's face remained composed, but his knuckles whitened on the chair arm, a contradictory detail amid his dignified poise. "My family is off limits. Always has been." The audience reaction grew, murmurs turning to audible gasps, phones flashing brighter. Camera, close up on Liam's eyes, the fuse burning brighter. Producers buzzed in earpieces, one whispering urgently offstage, but the live feed rolled on. Whoopi, sensing the escalation, doubled down. "Liam, in this era of transparency, don't you think stars owe the public more? Your platform could help others." Her tone carried subtext, a bias toward openness, perhaps rooted in her own outspoken history. Liam met her gaze, his voice level but laced with quiet fire. "Oh? Fame is a gift, not a debt. And privacy isn't a relic, it's a right." The room held its breath as he rose from his seat. Tension coiled tighter, the warm opening atmosphere fracturing into something electric. Secondary hosts fidgeted. Sarah tried to defuse with a light comment on his upcoming projects, but Whoopi ignored it, her eyes locked on Liam. "So, you're saying we're overstepping? This is the view, we asked the tough ones." The audience split now, some applauding her boldness, others shifting uncomfortably, the energy amplifying the divide. Liam stood slowly, his height commanding the space, the mic pack tugging slightly at his jacket. Chair scrape echoing in the studio hush. He didn't rip it off, not yet, but his movement was decisive, a layered vulnerability peeking through his fierce dignity. "Tough questions seek truth, this seeks spectacle. I've respected this platform, but dignity demands I draw the line." Whispers erupted, producers gesturing frantically from the wings. Whoopi leaned forward, her charisma masking surprise. "Liam, sit down, we're just getting started." But he shook his head, eyes scanning the audience as if addressing them directly. "To those watching, remember, behind every icon is a human. Push too far and—" He trailed off, the implication heavy. The control room erupted in chaos, directors barking orders. Tally light blinks rapidly. Joy murmured, "This is live," while Megan's eyes widened, sensing viral potential. Liam turned toward the exit, his steps measured, but the air crackled with unfinished business. What he did next would shatter the broadcast. As he reached the edge of the stage, Liam paused, turning back with a finality that froze the room. His hand moved to the mic clipped to his lapel, fingers hovering. The audience leaned in, breath held. Whoopi's face paled beneath her makeup, her motivation crumbling under the weight of unintended consequences. "Liam, wait!" she started, but it was too late. In one swift motion, he unclipped the mic and let it drop to the floor with a thud that reverberated through the speakers. Mic feedback screech, then silence. The gesture was dignified yet explosive, a decisive action pronouncing judgment on the spectacle. Gasps rippled through the crowd, phones capturing every frame as the tally lights flickered in panic. Producers rushed on stage, but Liam was already striding away, his back straight, leaving the panel in stunned disarray. Whoopi stared at the fallen mic, the room's energy shifting from applause to outrage. And as the feed cut to commercial, one thought echoed, this moment would go viral, but at what cost? But the fallout was just beginning, and it would drag everyone down. Part 2. The studio lights dimmed as the commercial break swallowed the chaos, but the echo of Liam Neeson's dropped mic lingered like a gunshot. What happens when a single act of defiance ignites a firestorm that no one, not the host, the guest, nor the audience, can escape? The control room was a war zone of shouted orders and flickering monitors, the red tally lights now dark as producers scrambled to salvage the broadcast. Panning across the frenetic booth, papers flying. The audience, still buzzing, held phones aloft, uploading clips that were already ricocheting across feeds. #Neeson walkout trending before the break ended. Backstage, the air was thick with tension, coffee mugs abandoned on consoles, the faint hum of cooling fans underscoring urgent whispers. Liam stood in the green room, his gray suit jacket slung over a chair, his broad shoulders tense but not bowed. Camera, close up on his hands, steadying a glass of water, the faint tremble betraying his calm. A young producer, Mia, hovered nearby, her headset dangling, her voice soft but urgent. "Mr. Neeson, they're asking you to come back. Maybe a quick apology to smooth things over?" Liam's eyes, those piercing blues, met hers with a quiet intensity. "Apologize for what, Mia? For refusing to be a circus act?" His tone was kind but unyielding, a man whose values, dignity, privacy, stood firm against the storm. But outside, the storm was already raging. Back on stage, Whoopi Goldberg adjusted her glasses, her charismatic grin replaced by a tight-lipped determination. The secondary hosts, Joy, Sarah, and Megan, huddled, their murmurs a mix of damage control and defensiveness. "We can't let this tank the show," Megan whispered, her eyes darting to the audience, where murmurs grew louder, a mix of boos and cheers. Audience unrest, a low rumble. Whoopi waved them off, her voice low. He walked out. "We pivot. I'm not the villain here." But the twitch in her jaw hinted at doubt, her personal grudge against guarded stars now a liability in the face of public backlash. The show resumed, the amber lights flaring back to life. Tally light blinks. Whoopi faced the camera, her tone measured but strained. "Folks, we had a moment there with Liam Neeson. Passions run high when we dig for truth. Let's talk about it." The pivot was meant to reclaim control, but the audience wasn't buying it. A woman in the front row stood, shouting, "Leave his family alone!" Others clapped, some jeered. Phones flashed, capturing the fracture. Joy tried to defuse. "Let's respect everyone's space." But the energy tilted toward chaos. And then the screens lit up with his face again. Backstage, Liam watched a monitor, his expression unreadable as social media clips played, his mic drop looping endlessly, paired with hashtags like Respect Neeson and Whoopi Overstepped. Mia, scrolling her phone, gasped. "It's everywhere. X is blowing up. Some are calling you a hero, others say you're dodging accountability." Liam's lips twitched, not quite a smile. "Accountability to whom? The public doesn't own my grief." His words carried a moral weight. Privacy as a right, not a privilege to be stripped for spectacle. On stage, Whoopi pushed forward, addressing the viral moment head-on. "Look, we asked tough questions because you deserve honesty. Was Liam right to walk? Let's debate." The panel launched into a heated exchange, Sarah defending Liam's boundaries, Megan arguing stars owe transparency. The audience split further, their reactions amplifying the tension. Applause clashed with heckles, a microcosm of the online firestorm. Camera, tight shot on Whoopi's face, her confidence fraying as boos grow louder. But one tweet changed everything. In the green room, Mia showed Liam her phone, a tweet from his eldest son, Michael, now trending. "My father stood for us today. Respect that." The words were simple but seismic, a public defense that shifted the narrative. Liam's eyes softened, a rare crack in his stoic facade, the layered vulnerability of a father validated. He nodded to Mia. "Tell them I'll go back out. But on my terms." She hesitated, then relayed the message, the producer's booth erupting in relief. The stage lights dimmed briefly as Liam re-entered, the audience erupting, half in cheers, half in stunned silence. Thunderous applause mixed with murmurs. He didn't sit, standing instead at the stage's edge, his presence commanding. Whoopi stood too, her charisma now tempered by caution. "Liam, welcome back. Care to share why you're here?" Her tone was softer, sensing the shift in power. Liam faced the audience, his voice steady, the Irish lilt carrying quiet fire. "I walked because some lines shouldn't be crossed. My family, my loss, they're not content for your feeds. But I'm here now to say this, we're all human, not headlines. Respect that, and we can talk." The words landed like a verdict, the audience roaring approval, even those who jeered earlier now nodding. Camera, slow zoom on Liam's face, resolute yet weary. Whoopi's next move would make or break her. Whoopi paused, the weight of the moment sinking in. Her bias toward openness, rooted in her own battles with media, clashed with the room's energy. She nodded slowly, her voice low. I hear you, Liam. Maybe we pushed too far. It wasn't an apology but a concession, enough to quell the booze. Joy jumped in, her tone warm. That's what this show's about, learning, growing. The panel rallied, steering to safer topics, his upcoming film, his craft. But the era had changed, the moral lesson clear, dignity under pressure could shift the narrative. Backstage, Mia watched the monitors, her phone buzzing with notifications. The tide online was turning, #respect Neeson gaining traction, clips of his speech drowning out the earlier chaos. Producers exhaled, the crisis averted, but the fallout lingered. Whoopi's ratings chase had cost her credibility, while Liam's defiance had humanized him further, his values resonating across platforms. But the real cost would surface later. Hours after the broadcast, Liam sat in a quiet cafe, away from the studio's glare, scrolling through messages from his sons. The viral moment had sparked a broader conversation. Posts debating privacy versus spectacle, fans sharing stories of their own boundaries crossed. Liam's stand had become a catalyst, not just for him but for others to demand respect in a world hungry for exposure. The epilogue unfolded online, where the discourse raged. Comment sections filled with questions. Did Whoopi overstep? Was Liam's walkout justified? The show issued a statement, praising passionate dialogue. But the subtext was clear, they'd underestimated their guest. Liam, meanwhile, declined further interviews, letting his actions speak. His final tweet, posted that evening, was simple. Live with dignity. Protect what matters. As the dust settled, the morning show's warm facade had cracked, revealing the cost of spectacle. The audience, both in the studio and online, was left to grapple with the lesson. Pushing for truth can illuminate, but crossing boundaries risks breaking something human. Who was right? Tell us below. And in the silence after the storm, one question lingered. What's the price of being seen?